Hi, I'm Jan with Jan Patek Quilts, and I do needle turn applique. And what we're doing right now is a series of table stand quilts that can either go on your little table stand or can all go together, or you can do both and make a much larger size quilt. And where we are this month is on the Snowman. And I was trying to figure out what to show you on the Snowman, because we've already done snowman arms with Snow Friend and some of the others, and we've done buttons and circles and all that. So I was asking my daughter, and she said, do his nose, Mom. I said, okay, so we're gonna focus on the poor little snowman's nose. I've drawn the pattern off the pattern onto freezer paper, and you can go back to freezer paper applique if you want to learn how to do that, and cut it out, cut the fabric out around it. And then of course the pattern came off, and I don't have my iron, but I don't need it, because if you use your sandpaper board, you can just hold the little nose in place and draw around it with your white. If you're using an orange nose, most carrots are orange, but you don't have to be traditional. You could have a blue one. Anyway, this one's orange. Draw around it, and it will work fine because the sandpaper board has held your fabric in place. So now we have a nose. Okay. The other thing we need on him to know where the nose goes is we need to know where the hat's going to be and where the scarf's going to be. So we need to draw around the hat, which has stuck. And I had gone ahead and cut out. You just eyeball a 1/4 inch around. Usually I will go ahead and draw before I cut, but you didn't need to sit and watch me cut. You probably know how to do that already. And then peel the freezer paper off, and we'll put that up there with the nose. But now, in order to know exactly where this is going to fit on his head, we're going to have to base this under so we get a general idea of where the line is. And we're going to need to clip the inside curves. You clip inside curves, you do not clip outside curves. You clip outside curves and you will get points. And we don't want points. Okay, now I do have a knot in there. We're just going to base this under and use our basic basting stitch. Okay. Now we're not going to sew this hat on yet, and we're not going to sew the scarf on yet, because the less fabric you have to handle when you're sewing something small, the better off you are. But we need to know where they're going to go on the head so we can place the nose the right place. I've had to take a few of them off when I didn't do this. And it won't kill you, but unsewing is nowhere near as much fun as sewing is. All right. So now we've basted this under. Okay. And we just have to base that part. And while you're at it, go ahead and clip that inside corner so when you go to turn that, it'll be a lot easier. Now, if I was going to sew it on, I would go ahead and baste all that under, but we're not going to sew it on right now. We're going to leave it the way it is. We have taken the scarf and done the same thing. Clipped the curve and basted it under so we can see where it's going to go, and it's going to go right there. Now, this is going to go right here. Yep. Okay. Now we know where the nose is going to go. It'll go right there. We could have just guessed that, but it's really easier if you have the other pieces in place, so you know, instead of totally guessing, where it's going to look best. Okay, now we can just take these and put them aside till we go to do it later, and put a pin there. Once again, I don't usually use the Applique glue here, although I could, but it's so small that if you got a piece of glue there, when you go to turn these under, you run into the glue. So this is actually where I prefer using the pins. And once again, I use Clover silk pins because they're so easy to work with. Okay, now we're gonna take the snowman, the hat, and the scarf and move them over here and move this out of the way too. Okay, now I have to take my glasses off. You don't want to start on either end to do this. You don't want to start where the point is. We've talked about that with stars, but it goes with noses too. And you don't want to start where the curve is for the same reason. So where you want to do, you want to move your needle. Don't go wiggling around. You want to move your needle down to the bottom of the nose and turn the nose under like this along the lines and finger press it, but then start at about the middle of the top of the nose. And this is just your basic applique stitch. You know, my husband watches cooking shows all the time. I quilt, he cooks. I like that. I like that a lot. It's fun after a day of quilting to have a good dinner. Although, when he works, on the night he works, I usually do cook, and we have a lot of crock pot and stew and soup, because I can put it on in the morning and go sew all day and have dinner at night. Anyway, I can't even remember why I started telling you that. Oh well. Now we're going to sew down the little nose, and we're going to trim. When we get to the curve, we left it big on purpose because stuff could fray, but now we need to trim it under. Okay, and we're going to have to trim that little piece off there too. Oh, I hope I didn't. I did. This happens sometimes. I cut my thread when I was trimming. So, just back up 2 or 3 steps, although in this we could take the whole thing out. Yeah. Let's just take the whole thing out. No, let's not. Just back up a couple, 3 stitches, which is almost where we started. Now, what we're going to do, so I don't do that again, is we're going to go. I know when I teach, I tell people if they do something wrong, just yell and let me know, and I'll show you how to fix it, because I've already made all the mistakes myself. So that's what you do if you cut your thread when you're okay. Now we're just going to be turning that under along the line and pulling it under with the needle. And go around the nose. You know, that's kind of driving me crazy. I'm trying to remember why I started telling you about Pep cooking. Oh well. He's a very good cook. Whenever I go to a bridal show, or sometimes they have games where you're supposed to write a piece of advice for the new bride, and I always tell them to marry a man that cooks. It's usually a little late by then. If it's a bridal shower, if they haven't already got one, they're out of luck. But if they've got one, it's really nice. Okay. Okay, see, we're just turning that under, and once you turn it under, you secure it with your thumb. Okay, we're getting down to the end. And there's a point, because carrot noses have points on them. My granddaughter has a guinea pig. Well, actually, my grandson's guinea pig lives at our house. My granddaughter has one too. And boy, do they squeal if they see carrots coming. They really like carrots. I like them because they're a handy yellow vegetable to give the grandkids when they come. They're easy, especially the baby cut carrots. Okay, now we're to the nose, and as you can see, this has started to fray a little, but that's okay because you cut it big enough. You can just cut off the fray. Now we're going, okay, when we got to the point, to go back on points, you take a stay stitch at the point so that when you fold this back to trim, it will stay where it is, hence the name stay stitch. Okay, and then you fold it back and you can see where your stitch is. Trim that off around it. Okay, now fold that. Your finger is under here. You fold towards the point on a straight line and then fold it under again and tuck anything under with your needle and put your thumb in place and stitch. There you go. And take very small stitches right here. Yep. There they go. One very cute, guinea pig approved. Zoe loves guinea pigs. She paints their toenails. She had one named Afentra. Now she has one named Phoebe. Jake's guinea pig is named Pork Chop. Well, he's a pig. Anyway. Yeah. There we go. Now, turn it over. Do your little knot stitch. Okay, there we go. One guinea pig nose. Now, if I were going to go ahead and sew this whole thing under, I would baste this around and sew the hat on and baste it down here and sew the scarf on, because I really like them better when you sew, well, especially these, because the table stands are going to be hand quilted. If on the big one, it's not going to be, so you don't need to cut out behind it. And I suppose you don't have to cut out behind it on these, but if I don't cut out behind them, I can't get small quilting stitches when I'm going around the scarf and around the nose if I don't cut the back out behind the snowman. And I know there's kind of a controversy on that, but this is a table stand quilt. This is not a quilt you're going to be sleeping with and pulling on or anything else. So to recap, baste under your hat, baste under your scarf, and lay them in place on here so you know where to put your nose. Then start in the middle, don't start on the edges. Do your rounded corner and your point, and your nose will be in place. So, we hope you've enjoyed this tip from Jan Patek Quilts. If you have, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks, and have a good day.